Now.
You know, you're really beautiful. And a woman that looks like that has to have her own special scent.
Oh, thank you. Maybe you could tell me what you think of this scent.
I like that.
This may be the best of all. Oh, you dirty boy, you. Oh. Donald, I thought you were a gentleman.
You can't say I didn't try.
Ver a Rudy Giuliani vestido de mujer y a Donald Trump actuando como su amante no era una rutina humorística, sino más bien un ritual de humillación pública ante vuestros ojos, donde los miembros subordinados o iniciados se involucran en actividades propagandísticas de lo más sórdidas. A Rudy Giuliani siempre le ha gustado adoptar el papel de mujer, sin embargo. El exalcalde de la ciudad de Nueva York y actual consejero de ciberseguridad de Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani, es un habitual comentarista invitado en Fox News y en otras cadenas del mainstream. Él era el alcalde de la ciudad cuando el 11 de septiembre de 2001 las Torres Gemelas y el World Trade Center 7 colapsaron. Él fue un elemento esencial junto con la administración Bush, la monarquía absolutista de Arabia Saudí y los servicios de inteligencia israelíes para que las Torres Gemelas y el edificio 7, sin impacto de avión, se desvaneciesen, además del Pentágono atacado por un misil balístico y con ello justificar una guerra contra el terror y las armas de destrucción masiva en Oriente Medio. El enemigo invisible perfecto.
Can you give us any better idea of how much of the plane actually impacted the building?
You know, it might have appeared that way, but from my close-up inspection, there's no evidence of a plane having crashed anywhere near the Pentagon. And as I said, the only pieces left that you can see are small enough that you could pick up in your hand. There are no large tail sections, wing sections, a fuselage, nothing like that anywhere around.
So what do you think of my Trump home mattress collection by Serta? Listen, why don't you come work for me?
What do you have in mind?
Something you were born to do.
Welcome to room 9.
Looking good, number 9. Looking good.
Where's your dignity? Welcome to room 9.
Looking good, number 9. Looking good.
Where's your dignity?
Donald, you're probably the best known builder, particularly of great buildings in the city. There's a great deal of question about whether or not the damage and the ultimate destruction of the buildings was caused by the airplanes, by architectural defect, or possibly by bombs or aftershocks. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, it was an architectural defect. You know, the World Trade Center was always known as a very, very strong building. Don't forget, that took a big bomb in the basement. Now, the basement is the most vulnerable place because that's your foundation. And it withstood that. And I got to see that area about 3 or 4 days after it took place because one of my structural engineers actually took me for a tour because he did the building. And I said, I can't believe it. The building was standing solid and half of the columns were blown out. I mean, so this was an unbelievably powerful building. If you know anything about structure, it was one of the first buildings that was built from the outside. The steel, the reason the World Trade Center had such narrow windows is that in between all the windows, you had the steel on the outside. So you had the steel on the outside of the building. That's why when I first looked, and you had big, heavy I-beams, when I first looked at it, I couldn't believe it because there was a hole in the steel. And this is steel that was, you remember the width of the windows in the World Trade Center, folks. I think you know, if you were ever up there, they were quite narrow. And in between was this heavy steel. I said, how could a plane, even a 767 or 747 or whatever it might have been, how could it possibly go through the steel? I happen to think that they had not only a plane, but they had bombs that exploded almost simultaneously, because I just can't imagine anything being able to go through that wall. Most buildings are built with the steel is on the inside around the elevator shaft. This one was built from the outside, which is the strongest structure you can have, and it was almost just like a can of soup.
You know, Donald, we were looking at pictures all morning long of that plane coming into building number 2, and when you see that approach the far side, and then all of a sudden, within a matter of a millisecond, the explosion pops out the other side.
Right. I just think that it was a plane with more than just fuel. I think, obviously, they were very big planes. They were going very rapidly. It just seemed to me that to do that kind of destruction is even more than a big plane, because you're talking about taking out steel, the heaviest caliber steel that was used on a building. I mean, these buildings were rock solid. And, you know, it's just an amazing thing. This country is different today, and it's going to be different than it ever was for many years to come.
Very profound statement and very true.
Do you believe it's hundreds or thousands?
I really don't want to say right now, Peter. I think it's going to be a horrible number. I saw people jumping out of the World Trade Center. I saw some of the firefighters who I know going into the building. And we were in a building in which we were trapped for about 10-15 minutes.
Are you talking about did you go immediately to the Office of Emergency Management?
No, I went down to the scene, and we set up headquarters at 75 Barclay Street, which was right there with the police commissioner, the fire commissioner, the head of emergency management. And we were operating out of there when we were told that the World Trade Center was going to collapse. When we were told that the World Trade Center was going to collapse. When we were told that the World Trade Center was going to collapse. We were trapped in the building for 10-15 minutes and finally found an exit and got out, walked north.
In 2001, weeks after the attacks on New York City and on Washington, and frankly, the attacks on all of us, attacks that they were perpetrated by the Islamic fundamentalists, Mayor Rudy Giuliani visited Israel to show solidarity with terror victims. I sent my plane because I backed the mission for Israel 100%.
No.
Thank you.
Un total de 411 trabajadores de rescate murieron ese día junto con 343 bomberos y 23 policías que no habían sido advertidos de la implosión de los edificios, como sí que conocían las altas esferas del gobierno norteamericano, incluido el alcalde Giuliani.
When we were told that the World Trade Center was going to collapse.
We will move the American embassy to the eternal capital of the Jewish people, Jerusalem.
Excuse me, where's the lobby?
Down the hall and to the left.
Thanks.
In 2001, weeks after the attacks on New York City and on Washington, and frankly, the attacks on all of us, attacks that they were perpetrated by the Islamic fundamentalists,
Él fingió que los musulmanes celebraron el 11S cuando es bien sabido que agentes israelíes del Mossad fueron arrestados por esto. Ignoran la evidencia destapada por Wikileaks de que Israel, Arabia Saudí, Bahrein, Qatar y los Emiratos Árabes financian a ISIS y no Irán. Ignoran la evidencia también de que ISIS fue entrenada, armada y apoyada por el Mossad, la CIA y Occidente. Todas estas evidencias las pueden encontrar en un artículo publicado en larevolucionpacifica.com que pondré en la descripción. Todas las citas de Trump apuntan a una confrontación gratuita con Irán orquestada por Benjamin Netanyahu. Esto podría conducir fácilmente a la Tercera Guerra Mundial.
Millions of people believe Israeli agents were involved in the attack. And they claim there is a basis for their suspicions. Moments after the planes hit the World Trade Center, eyewitnesses reported seeing a group of young men apparently celebrating.
I grab my binoculars and I'm trying, to look at the Twin Towers. But what caught my attention, down there, I see this van parked. And I see 3 guys on top of the van. They seemed to be taking a movie, and I could see that they were like happy. They're laughing. They didn't look shocked to me.
A major terrorist manhunt began, and just 6 hours after the attack, the van was stopped at a roadblock by patrolman Scott DiCarlo.
We were asked to detain the van and the passengers. They were just removed from the vehicle, patted down for safety precaution, and detained.
911 call at 410 Park.
We had received an all-points bulletin, and I just happened to see the van, and I think that could be the van. We checked it out, and it was. We were all on edge, obviously, so I really wasn't looking to make friends with these people, and neither were the officers that I were with. Once we started talking to them, they were pretty much like, hey, we're not against you, we're with you.
Over 2 months of interrogation began. The FBI discovered the men weren't from Al-Qaeda. They were Israelis. An enduring conspiracy theory began, that they were Israeli field agents who'd uncovered the 9/11 plot in advance. Israel had deliberately failed to warn the US authorities because it wanted to ensure that American public opinion was hostile to the Arab world. Channel 4 traveled to Israel and spoke to 3 of the 5 men arrested that day to hear their side of the story.
What I told them that I'm just a tourist from Israel, I'm Jewish, and he told me, don't talk, if you talk I'm gonna shoot you. People were spitting on us from the street, they are passing with the cars and spit on us, because they thought that we are the Arabs, they was looking for someone to blame.
A passerby took these photos of the police searching the van. 5 men were inside it. Some had dual nationalities and were carrying more than 1 passport. Others had flight tickets to leave the US within days. Fearing robbery, one had over $4,000 hidden in a sock.
They were ripping things, they took the camera, they were screaming at us all that time. Put your head into the ground or we were gonna shoot you.
They told interrogators they were working for Urban Moving, a shipping and storage firm run by an Israeli businessman who often employed Israeli students without work permits. The men say there was an innocent explanation for what was found in the van and their behavior on 9/11. They were, they say, simply on a working holiday.
Amazingly enough, we have found the moving company where the 5 Israelis worked.
Was this building being used as a front for some kind of Israeli intelligence operation that possibly was doing surveillance on the Arab American community? Were there men celebrating or slapping 5s or whatever?
There is a better view from a building in Jersey that is up a hill, a straight line to the World Trade Center. We decided to go up there. It's like 2-3 minutes from the office. Stand over there and take some pictures. Everyone wants a picture like this in his camera. Everyone wants a picture like this in his camera.
Their boss at Urban Moving, Dominic Suter, was questioned by the FBI, but then disappeared back to Israel. It left lots of unanswered questions and fueled suspicion about the 5 men. Investigators seized the firm's computers, and the investigation took on a new urgency with multiple lie detector tests. The FBI wasn't satisfied. Channel 4 has learnt from intelligence sources that some of the men's names were already known to American counterintelligence. Paul Kurtzberg admitted serving in an Israeli army anti-terrorist unit. He refused to take a lie detector test for 10 weeks.
I was serving in a special unit in the army, and it's not a big secret or something like that. But there are things that I have to keep to myself as loyal to my country.
The story that the feds build is a very good story. When you hear their story, you start even to believe it inside. Okay, maybe I'm a spy. I'm sure that I'm not, but the story is so good, so maybe I am. So maybe I am. So maybe I am.
Yuval Aviv is a counter-terrorism advisor to the US Congress, but was once a spy for Israel's secret service Mossad. He says Urban Moving was a front company and that some of its workers were spying illegally in the US.
Israel has engaged in intelligence gathering in friendly countries. Some of it is done with permission, and some of it probably has been done without permission in areas that is vital to Israeli interest. Without permission in areas that is vital to Israeli interest.
It's flushed out the possibility that Israel spies on America, its closest ally, an espionage tactic that both governments would prefer kept secret.
There's a certain type of information and methods of collections that you don't want to share with the local host country. Systems that you use, contacts that you make, undercover operations that you penetrating other terrorist networks. Those types of information you don't share with anybody.
The Urban Moving Five were eventually deported to Israel for visa violations.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad. The fact of the matter is, we are coming from a country that experiences terror daily. Our purpose was to document the event. Our purpose was to document the event.
The New York City Police Department has a report that the FBI is responding to New Jersey because a truck reportedly loaded with explosives has been stopped by authorities on the road there, and the men with that truck have been detained.
The 5 Israelis were detained for 10 weeks and finally deported on immigration violations after the FBI cleared them of any involvement in 9/11.
And that it was near the George Washington Bridge. There were 2 or 3 men who were in the van. The van was pulled over. It is not clear why the van was pulled over, but when it was, law enforcers found tons of explosives inside of the van. That is right now all I'm hearing, but again, 2 to 3 people in custody, and we are trying to get more information on that right now.
The FBI has now put out a nationwide APB, all points bulletin, for a white Chevy van with New Jersey registration. Written on the back is Urban Moving Systems. Apparently there are 3 male occupants. Let's repeat that. The FBI has now put out an APB, an all points bulletin nationwide. They're looking for a white Chevy van with New Jersey registration, and written on the back of the white van are the words Urban Moving System. Apparently this van is carrying 3 male occupants. Obviously, if you see this van, you're asked to contact the FBI immediately.
I got a message on that plane. It's a big truck with a mural painted of an airplane diving into New York City and exploding. I don't know what's in the truck. The truck is in between 6th and 7th on King Street. All right, 10-4. I'll send the issue in the bomb squad there for Westgate. The 4? Report that last message. All right, 10-5. With a mural painted airplane diving into New York, blowing up. 2 men got out of the truck, ran away from it. We got those 2 under. That's good. You got those? Are you holding those 2 guys, Kate? We have them under. Let's get some units over here. Listen to that. Beat the shit out of them. All right, get in. See that? Fucking. All right, listen, you need any further on those 2 guys over there? You all right over there, Kay? We have both suspects under, Kay. We have the suspects who drove in the van exploded. We have both of them under, Kay. Let's get some help over here. Now, I'm sending you here to shoot there. I just want to make sure you and your guys are all right over there, Kay. That's all. What's the location of that, Kay? Put them up. You know, we have both Neotrans driven that exploded. Resurrect? What location? The location, Kay. Raise that up to the chest for a second. What's that location, please? King Street between 6 and 7. Tyree Walkerstein on the air? On the air. Yeah, Wolf, switch over to 8. What unit are you? Okay. Touched him. Yeah? Appreciate it on the air. Sergeant Mason on the air. King with it.
With 292 and all out of 135 out of King Street and 6th Avenue for a possible bomb in a van. King and 6? That's affirmative. PD. 292 and ladder 162. We'll give you a box. 10-4. 135 to Manhattan. 135. We're also on that box in King Street and 6th Avenue with a possible bomb in a van.
They're shooting. They're driving around shooting. They're medic. They're arrested 2 Iranians. Oh, shit. They're shooting. I'm serious. You should have saw me running.
I told you. Did you hear that they have a bus? They caught a bus, a buck or a truck.
A van full of bombs, right?
Oh no! Somebody said there was a truck. They had a picture of the World Trade Center with the plane flying into it. They caught it. Somebody said there was a truck. They had a picture of the World Trade Center with the plane flying into it. They caught it.
3 at the same time. Chicago, Pentagon, in Chicago, the Pentagon, and that got hit at the same time.
Well, yeah, it's obviously orchestrated. Well, how you declare war on something you can't see?
Well, here's what I don't get. Is how our CIA and our FBI had no clue.
That's because it's an inside job.
You know why?
That's because it's an inside job.
You know why? But that's scary. How could I get in Boston? One flight, Boston to New York, hijack it, and took us out. What do you call it? I forgot.
They never got the Pentagon.
Iranians and Iraq.
I always thought they would bomb Times Square. It's the most popular area in New York City.
It's all about capitalism.
So y'all said they were shooting? It's election day too.
It is election day, ain't it? No, but not the election. This is primary.
Trump prácticamente le practicó una felación a los delegados en la conferencia de la AIPAC, el lobby israelí que dirige la política exterior y la economía de Estados Unidos.
You know, you're really beautiful. And a woman that looks like that has to have her own special scent.
Oh, thank you. Maybe you could tell me what you think of this scent.
I like that.
This may be the best of all. Oh, you dirty boy, you. Oh. Donald, I thought you were a gentleman.
You can't say I didn't try.
Ver a Rudy Giuliani vestido de mujer y a Donald Trump actuando como su amante no era una rutina humorística, sino más bien un ritual de humillación pública ante vuestros ojos, donde los miembros subordinados o iniciados se involucran en actividades propagandísticas de lo más sórdidas. A Rudy Giuliani siempre le ha gustado adoptar el papel de mujer, sin embargo. El exalcalde de la ciudad de Nueva York y actual consejero de ciberseguridad de Donald Trump, Rudy Giuliani es un habitual comentarista invitado en Fox News y en otras cadenas del mainstream. Él era el alcalde de la ciudad cuando el 11 de septiembre de 2001 las Torres Gemelas y el World Trade Center 7 colapsaron. Él fue un elemento esencial junto con la administración Bush, la monarquía absolutista de Arabia Saudí y los servicios de inteligencia israelíes para que las Torres Gemelas y el edificio 7, sin impacto de avión, se desvaneciesen, además del Pentágono atacado por un misil balístico y con ello justificar una guerra contra el terror y las armas de destrucción masiva en Oriente Medio. El enemigo invisible perfecto.
Can you give us any better idea of how much of the plane actually impacted the building?
You know, it